Good morning, evening, and afternoon to wherever you're joining us from in the world today. Today's speaker is Amirah Gilani. She is a youth coach who offers a helping hand to people who feel lost and curious about tapping into their limitless potential by awakening their inner spark. Having gone through a period of personal transformation, she was able to understand her own belief systems, values, emotions, and most importantly, realize her true self. With this calling, she wants to help you become the person that you have always known yourself to be by showing up for yourself authentically and unapologetically through radical self-love and acceptance. It's my pleasure to welcome Amirah to talk about the power of mindfulness. Just a side note, Q&A will be done through the chat feature after her presentation. Thank you, and I will hand it over to you now, Amirah.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Over the next hour, I will be taking you through mindfulness. We will unpack the notions around acknowledgement, acceptance, gratitude, and faith. Towards the end, we will have a Q&A session where you'll be able to ask me anything pertaining to what we have discussed so far. Mindfulness means to live presently in each moment. Now, the agenda is we're going to be talking about acknowledgement, acceptance, gratitude, faith, the methods to mindfulness, and lastly, we will be having a Q&A session. To begin with, I want you to think about one word that describes who you are, not how another person would define you, but how you would portray yourself as. And as we continue, at the end, I want each of you to type in the chat box how you define yourselves. Now, when we're talking about acknowledgement, recognizing that there is a change that needs to be made, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It's about getting out of your comfort zone and entering into a place that is unfamiliar, because that is where true transformation lies. Once you have recognized where you are at one point in life, you are able to decide whether you want to stay or if you want to change. Here, you're just spectating yourself from the outside in. And with that, it leads to this notion called self-awareness, which means that you're not stopping whatever emotions you are feeling. You're allowing them to surface to the level so that you are able to understand who you really are. The next level is called acceptance. This is where you begin to truly understand who you are, and it's where you begin to accept yourself for who you think you are and who you're about to become. Acceptance is all about embracing what is unique about you, the purpose that you've been given when you were born. This includes notions such as paradigms or thought processes, cultivating self-love, and cultivating self-love and being honest with where you want to go, all while removing self-judgment. So there's no self-judgment wherever you are. The next notion we're going through is called gratitude. Now, gratitude pertains to being appreciative of what you have while working towards what exactly you want. It's about being thankful for being able to even have that opportunity of being self-aware, that you have developed your own clearly set goals that you use as a stepping stone to achieve where you want to go. When we're talking about faith, faith is a very, very important aspect of our lives. It's our determining factor. It's the intention that we put into everything that we do, be it in taking time out for a breather or doing something to pursue a goal, taking a few stepping stones that are going to help us achieve that goal. It's where one starts to apply mindfulness techniques, which we will go over in the next slide, into your daily activities, because you're understanding that developing that such a strong modicum of faith leaves you with inner peace, happiness, and unconditional love, not only for yourself, but for others, even when things go south or even when things don't go the way you've planned them to. When we're talking about mindfulness techniques, to cultivate these four aspects, the following mindfulness techniques can be used. Meditation is used to sit in contemplation and allowing your thoughts and emotions to pass instead of forcing them to go away. Your emotions and your thoughts are like a child. Children only want attention, just like your thoughts and your emotions. Once you give it that attention, it'll go away, but you don't have to continue to pertain that thought. You don't have to continue to delve into that emotion. You just need to give it your attention and then it goes away and you can move on to other things. Meditation can also be used as an avenue through which you are able to discover who you really are. You are able to kind of, understand your purpose. And then from there, you're able to serve humanity. When you're focusing on your breath is the only thing that you have with you that is constant. all the time. It allows you to be present in the moment. Exactly what mindfulness means. Mindfulness means to be present in every moment, good or bad, however you define it. When we're talking about talk therapy helps you with releasing these stuck emotions that you've bottled up for so many years. Could be months, could be days, could be years. But talking about it really helps because it releases all those stuck emotions and you're allowing somebody else to help you find solutions to the problems that you have. Art develops a creative mind and can be very, very therapeutic. Whether you're painting, whether you're drawing, whether you're doing whatever it is that you define as art, this can really help you to understand, number one, how your mind functions when it's not constantly in default mode, when it's not constantly, thinking logically. Nature walks, exercise, and yoga allow for freshness and gaining new perspectives about ourselves and the world. When you get out, when you are not always cooped up in the house and you're able to get out just for 5, 10, 15 minutes, you are allowing yourself to get that break that you need. You're allowing yourself to get in touch with who you really are, as opposed to getting in touch with everything else. The last mindfulness technique is called journaling. Journaling is where you have a pad and a piece of pen and a pen, and you're just writing down whatever it is that comes to mind. It's a good way to release your thoughts onto paper, which means that you are allowing for your mental space to be open. You're not constantly holding on to different things. It also allows for brainstorming. If you have a creative idea that you want to move on to, or you want something to, you want to kind of brainstorm on it, you want to make an idea into a business, for example. Once you start to put those thoughts onto paper, you're actually calling it in, you're manifesting it into your life. Your journaling can also be a means to setting whatever goals and intentions you have set out for the day or the next week or the next month. And this also helps you keep yourself accountable for whatever it is that you really want to do. Also, noting things down that you're very grateful for allows you to, be present in the moment. It also allows you to hold that notion of gratitude within you. You can connect with me. I'm on Instagram. You have this is my email, and I've also created a WhatsApp group chat that whoever wants to come and join, we can all focus on mindfulness. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me.
Thank you so much, Amirah, for that lovely presentation. So if anyone has any questions, now would be the perfect time to put that in. If you could just put the WhatsApp link into the chat below so everyone can access it.
Can I stop screen sharing?
Yes, yes.
So I can, okay. Okay, so I've pasted the group for the link for the group chat. Please feel free to join. It's called Mindfulness with Amirah. And I see that there is a question here. What was your personal journey like? So my personal journey started when I was a young kid. My mother always used to kind of talk to my sister and I about the ethics of our faith and how whatever we put our mind to, we're able to achieve it. Now, when COVID hit, there was nothing in the house to do because I'm somebody who constantly needs to be doing work. If I don't do something, I feel like I'm not being productive. And COVID just happened at a time where we were having exams and, we were in the middle of a myriad of different things. But what I didn't realize was that in order for me to accept myself for who I am, I had to become unfamiliar with it. So when I pursued this journey, I had something called misophonia. Misophonia is kind of like tinnitus, where one person becomes very, very sensitive to sounds. And that just happened that I was very sensitive to sounds, and I still am. And it was very, very traumatic because it wasn't just being sensitive to sounds, it was also being sensitive to the emotions that I was feeling as a result of these sounds being evoked. Now, let's say somebody was chewing food. I could literally hear that person chewing food, or somebody was dragging their furniture. I could hear it as though they were doing it right next to me. And that really, really evoked feelings of sadness, of anger, of shame, of guilt, all these lower vibrational feelings. And then, I told myself that I can't continue living like this. If I want to be able to go out into the world and to show people who I am and what I do, I need to find a proper solution for this. And that's when I turned to more meditation, more prayer, more journaling. I started to get in touch with who and what I really am. And that was where I started to unpack my emotions, because all of these emotions were just jumbled up inside of me. I kept bottling them and bottling them and bottling them, that this misophonia acted as actually a catalyst to my personal transformation. And once I started to get in tune with these emotions and I started allowing them to flow, it reduced, and I became a better person overall. So that is what my personal journey was like. About setting our goals, what tools can you recommend to keep one in check? So the first thing I would suggest is take a piece of paper and a pen and write down whatever goals that you have. That is the first thing. The second thing that you need to do is to get somebody to keep you accountable. Find somebody who is willing to talk to you and to ask you, did you get this done today? You don't have to do 100 million things every day. Even if you've accomplished one thing on that goals list of yours, you're good to go. But the thing that matters the most is that you're not doing it for somebody else. You're doing it for you. And that is enough accountability for you to allow yourself to be able to do something that is well within your means. I hope that answers your question. For those who are afraid to confront their demons, how do they get out of their comfort zone in a healthy manner? That's a very, very good question. So I wouldn't look at it as a demon that you're facing. I would look at it as something that is unresolved, something that needs that needs to be attended to. It's like a child. Children only want attention, exactly like how our thoughts and our emotions are. But once you give that thing a title of being a demon, you're never going to want to face it, because you're always going to be constantly scared. So if you could reframe or, reword that from a demon into something that is making you transform, something that is making you become a better person, you're able to get out of that comfort zone. You see, the thing is, nobody wants to get out of their comfort zone. Everybody wants to stay within that echo chamber of theirs. But the thing is, for personal transformation to occur, you have to be willing to get out of it. You have to be willing to become familiar with the unfamiliar. Because once you do that, you're going to be opened up to a myriad of different things. For instance, you can find your purpose with that. The first thing. The second thing is that, you are able to help other people confront their own emotions, their own thought processes that they're dealing with, and you'll be much more able and you'll be willing to actually, help them out, because you've allowed yourself to help yourself out. How can we use mental health techniques to gain more confidence? Okay, this is a very, very good question, because when I was younger, I used to struggle a lot with confidence. I feel like it depends on how you define your confidence. So could we have a chat about that? Can whoever, I think it was Vero, can she unmute? And maybe we could have a little chat about that. Vero, are you with us?
I'm not sure if she might have the ability to speak right now.
Okay, that's okay. I would suggest try and find out what kind of confidence it is that you are looking for. You see, confidence is a very broad topic. Confidence could be within public speaking. Confidence could be within, doing something that you wouldn't normally do. Confidence could be, talking about something that confidence could be Confidence could be talking about something that you wouldn't particularly want to talk about, but that is what confidence is. So get clear on what exactly you want to work on with confidence, and then every single day make an affirmation. An affirmation is a positive statement that you make. This helps to kind of rewire your subconscious mind. This helps to rewire the paradigms that you have about confidence, and make an effort to say that affirmation every single day. So for example, I'll even give you one. An affirmation for confidence could be, I am willing and able to put myself out there. I am willing and able to open up about my own opinions. I am willing and able to find like-minded people with whom I feel comfortable with to express who I really am. Because when you're talking about confidence, confidence could be something that maybe you don't like somebody. It's very hard for you to open up. You see, again, you're going back into the comfort zone of yours. So it's very, very difficult. So if you call in, if you affirm that you want to be next to like-minded people, or you want to have like-minded people with you, who you can actually have conversations with, in-depth conversations with, it'll be much easier for you to open up with them. And that will boost your confidence. Writing the goals down, working on them with accountability to self, or finding an accountability partner. You're most welcome, Sandra. What if you have a dream and no one is willing to support you? How do you go about it? Should one abort the dream and find something which people think is good for her? To be honest, the only person who should be supporting you, the only person who should want to pursue that dream is you. There are going to be so many people who are not going to want to see you succeed. There's going to be so many people like that. But at the end of the day, it's all about you. There's a reason that that dream has been implanted in your soul. There's a reason that you've been given that dream. And it's your purpose, it's your mandate to pursue that dream. It's your mandate to show the world who you really are, regardless of whoever supports you. Not everybody is going to be your biggest supporter. People can be your biggest enemies. But I will tell you one thing. People on this call, they have come here because they want to make a change. And making a change needs support. So if you want support, you have my full support, and I'm sure you have everybody else's support. So please don't suppress that dream. Please find a way to go and pursue that dream and make it something that you are going to be proud of, because it's your dream. It's not anybody else's. Don't shrink yourself to fit into somebody's idea of who you are. You're much more than that. I hope that answers your question. Are there any more questions?
Hi, Amirah. I had a personal question for you. And the question is, how would we explain the mental health importance and how important it is to speak out about struggles and how to solve these struggles to maybe older generations who might not understand the importance and relevance in today's society?
Well, that's a very good question. Thank you for asking it. I feel like in today's day and age, nobody likes to communicate. You know, everyone wants to assume that we can read each other's minds, but that is not the solution to everything. So maybe we could start a campaign, about mental health, make a webinar about mental health, get professionals who are within that range of mental health and ask them to talk about it. Because you see, the thing is, if you have an older person who is very well qualified, who has a degree in some sort of, improving the lifestyle of somebody else, older generations would like that, because they're seeing that this person who has a degree, who is qualified, who knows what he or she is talking about, is able to come up and voice out their opinions. Because at the same time, an older person might not have these, might have these opinions, might have these questions, but they're too scared because of the fear of, what are other people going to think about me? But if you have somebody who is well within that range, that age range, that social group range, and you have somebody who is willing and able to come out to the world and to voice out their opinions, everybody will follow.
Definitely, I agree with that. I think having people around the same age encourages people to kind of speak out against this. So I wanted to know a little bit more about the pandemic. So the pandemic has definitely affected the conversation about mental health. And I know a lot of people like myself have been feeling very isolated. So, how do we use these feelings and how do we deal with these feelings of isolation?
Okay, well, the first thing I would ask you is, why do you think you feel isolated? You can answer if you want, you don't need to answer, you can just think about it. But you see, the thing is, isolation doesn't just come out of nowhere. It comes out of a thought becoming another thought, and then it becomes this whole chain reaction of thoughts that at the end of the day you're just labeling yourself as feeling isolated. Now, the first thing you would do is understand what isolation is, because isolation can be a very, very broad topic. And the second thing is to ask yourself that, why am I feeling so isolated? Once you have those two answers, you can move on to the third question of asking yourself, what can I do to make myself feel less isolated? Or what can I do to make myself feel fulfilled? You know, I also had that problem because, I am a social butterfly. I'm a complete extrovert. And when the pandemic hit, we went from going to school and going out to just sitting in the house all day long doing nothing. And, that really got me because I was feeling super, super lonely, even though there were a lot of people around me. And then once, I kind of dove into that and I started asking myself those questions, I started to find out that, oh, okay, maybe I don't feel safe anymore around my usual friend group. That's why I'm feeling very isolated. Maybe I need to start changing my paradigms at the thought processes that you have. And then, from there, I started to get in touch with other people who are like-minded again, because I'm somebody who cannot have a conversation like, hi, how are you? How's the weather? That's just like a 2-minute conversation. But I'm somebody who likes to talk about spirituality, talking about a business idea that you have. I like to help people. I like to see other people being creative, using their creative notions and stuff like that. So once I started to look through the internet, and then I found this group called Mind Valley. It's basically a very interactive app, very interactive community that makes you feel like you belong, because there's so many like-minded people of all ages, all cultures. So you're exposed to a lot of diversity in different backgrounds and stuff. And it's not only Mind Valley. There's so many apps, there's so many websites, there's so many events that happen even in Eventbrite that will help you to feel less isolated. But the reason you're probably feeling isolated is because you feel like you don't fit in anymore. You don't fit in the place where you once were. So that's where now you're starting to kind of, number one, understand that, okay, a change needs to be made, but what kind of change needs to be made? And then from there you can find like-minded people, because technology has improved vastly. We're living in the 21st century now. Everybody has a mobile phone. Everybody has a smartphone. Everybody has an iPad or a laptop, and everybody, if not all, if not most people, if not all, have access to the internet. All you have to do is just type in whatever it is that you want to type in. Maybe you want to go for an art session, an online art session. Maybe there's somebody who's hosting one, and then from there you kind of get involved and you get acknowledged, and you yourself feel like you're fulfilling something with your life. Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah. And by nature, I think myself as well, I don't like the small talk, but I definitely want to get to know someone on a deeper
Yeah.
level like that. So, talking about technology, are you aware of any apps that help with mental health? Do you use any, and how do they work?
Okay. So I don't really use any apps. I'm an empath, which means I absorb a lot of emotions and stuff. So, I don't really like to use my phone or anything. I limit it to quite a bit. But this group that I've shared is open. Mind Valley is open. There's a lot of courses that they have. The only thing is that they're not interactive. Now, based on whether or not you want to be involved with an interactive community, that's up to you. But I feel like, maybe again, if you just search up, a mental health community, there's so many out there. Technology hasn't limited anything. Everything is readily available on there.
That's great. So, I think if anybody is struggling I do have a question here. I think I'll read it out. It's how do you deal with people who are not mindful of your feelings? They take advantage of you. What are techniques one can use to have a peaceful mind despite a harsh environment?
Okay, a very good question. So this is something that my mom actually used to ask me because I'm a very sensitive person. If a dog was on all fours and was barking at you, would you bark back? It's a very funny question. It's a very silly question, but there's a lot of meaning behind it, because in this sense, you can think of the people who are not being mindful of you, who are not being considerate of you, not as people who are inferior to you, but as people who are not on the same wavelength as you. You see, there's something called a vibrational column, where you either live on the spectrum of love, of peace, of happiness, of enlightenment, or you can either go back down to the level of anger, shame, sadness, guilt. It's up to you to decide, you know. And something that I really find that's very helpful, especially if I'm talking to somebody who isn't really understanding, or who doesn't have that mindful self-awareness, I think of myself as having been reached at such a higher level of consciousness. This person is still at the baseline, so either I can help them, or I can continue to shout. But they're not going to end up listening. You see, a lot of people want to listen to respond as opposed to listening to hear. And that's where everybody gets stuck. But the moment you start to not take things personally, the moment you start to say, okay, you know what? I'm elevating. I'm rising higher. Whoever wants to rise with me, let's rise. Whoever doesn't, you can stay at your baseline. You can stay there for however long you want. But when you're ready, I'll be there to help you. And if they're getting toxic, cut them off. But you should also know the limit with which you can take. You should also be very, very well aware of the boundaries that you need to set up. Because at the same time, you're also a human being. You also get frustrated. And once you start to get frustrated, that energy, you're pulling yourself down. Other people are going to pull you down. Whether or not you allow them to take you down with them is up to you.
And talking about people, if you feel that someone isn't on the same wavelength as you, how can you help them grow as a person? Maybe say that they're very negative and they always like to bring other people down. How do we help them become their fullest form?
Well, for starters, they themselves have to want to change. You see, the thing is, change comes from within. I can be telling you that, hey, look, I feel like this is something we should work on. But all you're hearing is criticism, because you don't like to be told that you're negative. You don't like to be told that that there's a change that needs to occur within you, right? It's all about how somebody else would perceive something. So let's say, for example, I have a friend who's struggling with, mental health, and he is constantly being negative. I can pull him aside and I'm going to tell him that, look, I really appreciate what you're trying to do, and I understand that you're going through a lot, but if you'd like to talk, I'm here for you. You see, it's all about saying, I get you and I got you. But at the same time, you also have to have that much of self-respect and that much of self-awareness that if they're not willing to change themselves, you can't do anything beyond that, because everything you will say further is gonna be like criticism to them.
Completely. I completely get that. I think that there's a phrase that I think it's you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make the horse drink water.
Yes, exactly.
Definitely
Yeah.
applicable in this situation. So before we wrap up, I have one final question, and this is centering technology again. So with all of the technology that's being developed, a lot of people are talking about AI systems that are acting as like therapists and bots that'll help you when you feel that you're in a time of stress. What is your opinion on these?
Okay, I may be a little biased towards it, but I personally feel like you cannot instill emotions in a robot. I'm sorry, but you can't. Human beings are innately social beings. The reason that human beings have been born is so that we can help each other out. Think about all the psychologists, all the psychotherapists, all the physiotherapists, all the, psychology, all these different things, they've come up at a level where they're able to understand something. Now, if we're going to talk to something that's been, artificially made, that developer can't instill emotions. You can't expect a robot to understand if you're feeling lonely, because it's never felt lonely before. It doesn't have other people to talk to, so I would personally say that if you feel like you need help, talk to somebody who you trust. And you have me now, so you have that WhatsApp group. If you feel like you need to talk to somebody, if you feel like you just need somebody to listen to you, just message me, just shoot me a message, literally, and I will be more than happy to talk to you about it. But you have to be willing, again, to be talked to. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that because I'm a human being, I understand what it's like to feel sad, to feel angry, to feel frustrated, to be mad. I understand what it's like to feel all of these emotions, even simultaneously. I understand what it's like. A robot can't understand that.
Thank you so much, Amirah, for this fabulous session. I think with the relevance of mental health and the pandemic, everyone is struggling, but we are coming up with ways to solve that and ways to deal with it normally. And so thank you so much for this fabulous presentation. Thank you so much to our audience for listening and engaging. And if you need any more details, please visit our website, www.spunkgo.com. I really do hope that this group chat of mindfulness helps everybody. Thank you and good day.
Thank you.
Thanks. Also, for everybody asking for the recording will come soon enough. I think today, if we put it for processing, it should come. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.